Welcome everyone gathered here in person and for all those gathered online at tobuildabeautifulworld.com. Tonight we are all here marking 70 years of the Lubavitcher Rebbe's leadership, as well as the passing of his predecessor, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak Schneerson, the 6th Rebbe of Chabad. Thank you all for coming. On your seats, as well as online at tobuildabeautifulworld.com, there is a study companion where you can download, which will be very useful throughout tonight's program. And be sure to visit the website after to add your name, which will be read at the Rebbe's oil for all those watching tonight's program. Before we begin, I would like to thank, as I usually do, individuals who took it upon themselves to fund this project. But first and foremost, I'd like to welcome my mother, who came especially from Eretz Yisrael. Thank you, Ima. And may Hashem bench you to see nachas from all your children and grandchildren and simchas in the family. A special thank you to Zalman and Mimi Felig of Miami, Florida. May the Eibishter bench you in the schus of all the good that you do, starting from Chavav in honor of the Rebbe's father, and throughout. You should be gebenched b'bana chayim ezeinu devicha b'mayla mederach hateva. Thank you, Shlomi and Mirla Greenwald, Zamli and Sarla Cohen, a very, very dear friend, Yossi and Nechamadina Katz, the entire Beis Shmuel Chabad, headed by Rabbi Moshe Pinson, and a very special thank you and a happy birthday to Yossi Sofer. Today was his birthday, and a very, very special thank you for the woman that stands behind the man, Mrs. Mika Sofer of COL Live. Thank you for everything that you do for our community, and especially for promoting these kinds of beautiful programs and much, much more. May the Eibishter bench you with continued success without any hindrance. Thank you, Dudi and Khani Farkash of Muncie, Josh and Robin Goldish of Melbourne, Australia, Chesky and Bracha Klein. Chesky was a charusa of mine. Thank you, Chesky. Thank you, Nussi and Kitty Sternberg, Yerachmiel and Rivka Leah Jacobson. Last but not least, Mendel and Sarla Pinson. I hope that we are able to continue many such programs and learnings and a lot of good things for the entire community. I think we've shown what a classy event looks like, what quality is, and I think we deserve it. And thank you everyone for supporting it. Without further ado, we'd like to begin tonight's program. Please pay your attention to the video screens.
In dem Jema ist Taukes, hebt dann der Rebbe mit Bossi Legani. Bossi Legani achese Kalo, Sagt Rav Drusen med det Shabbat från Nord, als leganing Sifkan. Novadens steht legani, lignuni. Das heißt, lemokim, shohoya ikre batchilo. Waren ikre schino, in der Betachtenum heus. Machst dann durchgegangen.
Okay, here we are again. This isn't easy. How do we even begin? how do we even begin to appreciate the magnitude of today? The Istalkus, the anniversary of the passing of a Rebbe, Tzaddik Yesod Olam, and the anniversary of the acceptance of leadership by our Rebbe. So what I'm going to try to do with Hashem's help is tell a story. People like stories. You stand up here and you tell stories. People seem to have a longer attention span. So I want to tell the story of Yud Shvat. Where does the story of Yud Shvat begin? Well, on a simple level, Yud Shvat. Like we just saw in the video, Yud Shvat, Tafshin Yud, the winter of 1950, was the Histalkus, the passing of the Frierdiker Rebbe, the Rebbe Hayatz, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak. And a year later, on his yard site, in Tafshin Yud Aleph, 1951, on the same date, the Rebbe publicly and formally accepted leadership and recited the Maimer Basilagani. So that's where the story begins. And it begins with, how do I say this in the language of 2020? You know, everybody clicks yes on did you read the terms and conditions, but nobody reads them. The Rebbe started off from day one, from the first official Farbrengen. He told everyone very clearly what's going to be. Here's the deal. Here's our agreement. We're going to bring Mashiach. No less. Nothing less. We're going to bring Mashiach. The Rebbe said it clear. And the Rebbe said it's going to be our generation. The seventh generation. Now, where did the Rebbe get the seventh generation from? He inherited it. What do I mean? I think it's worthwhile to point out the Rebbe's first discourse is the same title, and it is a re-examination of his father-in-law, the previous Rebbe's discourse, which the previous Rebbe had written ahead of time and dated to be released on the day that turned out to be the day of his passing. And in that discourse of the Frierdiker Rebbe, it speaks about Kol Shvi and Chavivim, that all sevenths are precious. And it gives the example from the Medrash about how Moshe Rabbeinu was the leader of the seventh generation from Avrami Avinu. Avram is the one who started it all, but Moshe finished the job. What does it mean, finished the job? That Moshe was the one who built the Mishkan in the Midbar, and that's where the Shekhinah came back to this world. So that idea was already in the Maimer of the Frierdiker Rebbe. The Rebbe took that idea and made it the literal, without any interpretations, without any compromises. This is going to be our agenda. We're going to do it. We're going to bring Mashiach. If you would like to accept the terms and conditions, click here. Yes, we read them. Yes, we accept them. Okay. And from that day, it never changed. It never changed. That was the agenda. We're going to bring Mashiach. Now, the truth is, the idea of bringing Mashiach, it didn't start with the Rebbe. It didn't start with the Frierdiker Rebbe. This is the basis of all Judaism. I don't want to ruin the punchline, but everyone knows how Judaism ends, right? You know the punchline, right? The end of the story is a whole new world, a perfected world. Peace, harmony. Everything's good. That's the end of the story. In fact, if you look in the Rambam, the Rebbe used to point this out. The end of all the Yad Chazaka, so how does the Rambam culminate? How does he finish? He finishes with Mashiach, because all of Judaism points toward and leads to Mashiach. Let's take a look here at our study companions. The first text is from the very, very end of the Rambam. Ube'esa Hazman, and in that day, in that era of Mashiach. What will the world be like? La yasham, la ra'av, v'le milchama. There will be no famine nor war. V'le kina v'sachras. There will be no jealousy or competition. Shahatoiva tia mushpas harbe. Because all good things will be abundant. V'chol ma'adanim mitzuyin ka'afar. And all the delicacies will be as plentiful as dust. V'lo yia esek kol ha'elam elo. And what will we be doing? How will we spend our time when we won't have to work for a living? We won't have to toil. What will we do? Only one thing. Ladas as Hashem bilvad. To know Hashem. And Hashem being infinite, that will be an infinite process of knowing Hashem more and more and more and more. Ulefichach, therefore, you Yisrael, the Jewish people, will be Chachomim Gedolim, great sages. V'yedim dvarim sesumim. They will know hidden matters. V'yasigu das beiram kefi koyach ha'adam. They will actually know the mind of the Creator. Fathom that. According to the ability of man. Shenema, like it says, our prophets promise us. At that time, what will be, ki mola ha'aretz, the world will be full, deya as Hashem, the knowledge of God, kamayim alayom, mechasim, as water covers the ocean bed. That's the vision of Yiddishkeit. That world, that perfected world. And that's the vision that the Rebbe shared at his first official Fabrengen. So where did the story begin? Yud Shvat. And how did it begin? The Rebbe said, we're going to do it. We're going to complete the job. I told you that was the simple explanation. But let's go a little bit deeper. You know, there's a Hasidic saying that a Rebbe is geboren, nicht geworden. A Rebbe is born a Rebbe. He doesn't become a Rebbe. Or in perhaps a little bit more Kabbalistic terminology, a Rebbe is an atzmi. You know, there's a chitzoin, there's a pnimi, there's an atzmi. A chitzoin is a reactive person. Changes according to the weather. A pnimi, he doesn't react to others, but he could still change based on his own ideas. An atzmi is bilti nishtane. An atzmi never changes. He's the same from beginning to end. So if you want to know the truth, when did the story of Yud Shvat begin? It didn't begin Yud Shvat. Secret. The story of Yud Shvat really begins Yud Aleph Nisan, the Rebbe's birthday. In fact, I don't know, does anyone have a Tanya? No, probably not. How about a chitas? Anyone has a chitas? Huh? Come. Okay. Thank you. By the way, this is a good chitas. You see this? Did the camera get this? Look, no binding in anything. There's a saying. If a person has a chitas that's falling apart, it probably means their life isn't. Okay, you like that? Okay. Now everyone's going to go home and start bending the binding of their chitas. Okay. Oh, and the shtrick is in the right place, so you're up to date on your Tanya chitas. Look at this. Nachas. Okay, so if you look at the chitas, the Tanya chitas, for a Shana Pshuta for today, for Yud Shvat. Where's the, oh, right here. You got me over the shoulder? Okay. So, look at the last line here. The last three words, really. Me'ayin leyesh tomid. You got it? From nothing to something, always. Me'ayin leyesh tomid. Got it? Yeah. Okay. So the Mashpia, Reb Wolf Gringlas, all of a shalom, who the Rebbe called him a Kubal, Kabbalistic scholar. He used to have a vort. He used to say the chitas, the Tanya, for the day of Yud Shvat, has a hint to us about the significance of Yud Shvat. And it's in the last three words of the Chitas, mi'ayin liyesh tamid. That means from nothing to something all the time. Hashem is constantly recreating the world from nothing. But there's a remez. Me'ayin, from ayin is Aleph Yud Nun. It's Rosh Tevis, Yud Aleph Nissen. Yesh is Yud Shin, Rosh Tevis, Yud Shvat. So it's me'ayin, from Yud Aleph Nissen came Yesh, came Yud Shvat, Tamid. It's one continuation. It's one thing. So I'll ask you, when the Rebbe came up with the idea that we're going to finish the job, we're going to bring Mashiach, that was an idea that he thought of the night of the Fabrengen. That was, maybe he thought of it a year before. He thought of it after the Stalkus of the Frierdiker Rebbe. The Rebbe was born with this idea. How do we know that? There's a letter the Rebbe wrote on his birthday, on Yud Aleph Nissen, and that's very significant. The Rebbe wrote a letter on his birthday, the day of, a birthday. The Rebbe, by the way, very much promoted after the Stalkus of the Rebbe Tznichaya Mushka, the idea of Mivtza birthday, that we should all appreciate the day that Hashem sent our souls into this world for a unique mission. So Yud Aleph Nissen is the day that Hashem sent the Rebbe's neshama to this world for his unique mission. And it's a precious day. It's a very, very serious day. It's a day when you really focus on why you were sent here. In fact, just an aside, Jimmy Carter once called the Rebbe, wanted to give him birthday wishes. And they told him, sorry, but a person's birthday is a very serious day where they have to focus on the purpose for which they came to this world. So I'm sorry that Rebbe cannot talk to the President of the United States. Yud Aleph Nissen, Tafshin Tes Zayin, 1956. The Rebbe wrote a letter to the President of Israel, Ben Tzvi. Now I should give you a little bit of background about the letter. In Israel they have the Rosh HaMemshalah, which is Prime Minister, and they also have the Nasi, which is the president. Ben Tzvi was Nasi, the president. So the Rebbe writes to Ben Tzvi a very respectful and actually a rather lengthy letter, which again is notable because this is a precious day. This is Yud Aleph Nissen. And the Rebbe then at the end of the letter apologizes, so to speak, and tells Ben Tzvi he knows that he will understand why he didn't use his official title of Nasi. And the Rebbe explains, because that term, Nasi, has a very specific meaning to me. It's describing a Jewish leader who is the ultimate leader, the leader of the entire Jewish people, over whom there is no foreign authority, only Hashem himself. And I can't use that term lightly. I can't throw that word around. And that's when the Rebbe reveals this extremely personal glimpse into his life, into his thinking. Here we have the second text in the vision section. The Rebbe writes, Miyem holchi lecheder. From the day that I went to Cheder, to primary school, v'eid kedem lezeh, and even before that, what a toddler, a little child, hischil hisrakim b'dimyeni, it started to take form in my mind, tzir geula ho'asida, the image of the future redemption, ge'ulas am Yisrael megalusai ho'acharei, the redemption of the Jewish people from their last exile. Geula kizu ube'efin kizeh. Such a redemption, and in such a manner, she'al yoda, that through it, with it, yumuvonim yisuri hagolis, hagzedes v'hashmades, we will once and for all understand all of the pain, the decrees, and the persecution that the Jewish people have endured over the entire exile. So I'm sorry, the Rebbe says, to paraphrase, if I can't start using this term Nasi, which in my mind, since I was a small child, is associated with that image, that world, that perfected world. There's a story that came out after Reb Simon Jacobson came out with Toward a Meaningful Life. It's after Gimel Tammuz. I think it came out in 1995. And he received a letter from a woman who grew up in Crown Heights, not in a Lubavitcher home, not in a particularly frum home. And she wrote to Rabbi Jacobson and said, "Thank you for giving me back my old friend. I read Toward a Meaningful Life. I was blown away by the wisdom, and then it clicked for me, that's my old friend." In the 40s, this little public school girl said she used to have encounters with the Rebbe. He would get off the train at Nostrand coming back from the Naval Yard, and he would converse with her. And they had an ongoing relationship. And she told him that she likes to read sci-fi. In fact, she told him which authors she's into. She says she's reading Asimov. I know Lubavitch would say Asimov, but Isaac Asimov. And the Rebbe was asking her about one of the books. It was called The Foundation. She says it's this book about this leader who puts together this federation, and they perfect the world, the whole galaxy. They go around perfecting the galaxy. And the Rebbe told her, he says, "Oh, this is a good idea." He says, "I have an idea for a foundation where we're going to go perfect the world." And the Rebbe asked this little girl, this was in 1948, before the Rebbe was Rebbe as the world knows. What I'm saying, the Rebbe was always Rebbe. That's the point. But in 1948, the Rebbe is telling this little girl, "I'm making a foundation. Would you like to be part of my foundation?" She said, "Oh yes, I would very much like to be part of your foundation." "Very good, you're part of the foundation." And the Rebbe was describing to her the vision that, what I'm trying to say is, in 1948, the Rebbe's vision was science fiction. It was science fiction. And then what did the Rebbe go and do? He did it. He did it. This was the Rebbe's vision from day one. When he was 3 years old, when he was 48 years old, when he officially accepted leadership, when he was 90 years old, and it never wavered. This was the mission. We're going to bring Mashiach. Nothing less. Nothing less. You know, there's a Hasidic custom to say every day the chapter of Psalms that corresponds with one's birthday, or the year of one's birth, as well as the chapter that corresponds to the Rebbe's age. So when the Rebbe was saying chapter 90, Kapitel Tzadik, still have the chitas up here, so why not? When the Rebbe was saying chapter 90, Kapitel Tzadik of Tehillim, Sidna made a song. He took words from that chapter. The chapter starts, Tefillah LaMoshe, Isho Elokim, a prayer by Moses, the man of God. Why did Moses pray? This is what Moses was saying when they put up the Mishkan in the wilderness, when they built a building, a home for Hashem, and the Shekhinah came back to the world. And Moshe was praying that Ma'aseh Yadeinu, the work of our hands, the Mishkan that we built, should be favorable to Hashem, and the Shekhinah, that the Noyam Hashem, the pleasantness of Hashem, should come down to us and fill the world. And this was the song that they were singing when the Rebbe started to say chapter 90 from Tehillim, the song of yearning for the Shekhinah to come down, to come back to this world. And this is what I'm saying. When the Rebbe was 3, or the Rebbe was 48, or the Rebbe was 90, there was always one theme and one theme only. It didn't start at any juncture. It's not a new thing. It was the same thing from day one. Finishing the job. Shuva Hashem. Hashem, return to your world. V'nochem al avadecha. Have mercy upon your servants. And find favor in the Ma'aseh Yadeinu, in the work of our hands, and bring the Shekhinah back to this world. Sounds a lot better when you guys say it. I like working with the Niggunim in between, because then at least I know something we said is accurate. So we're in the middle of telling a story that began on Yud Aleph Nisan. When a unique leader came to the world and made it his business to finish the job of all of history. But like any good story, there are multiple characters. And in this story, there's another very important character. You. Us. Our generation. The ones with whom the Rebbe made the deal. I told you, everybody clicks on the terms and conditions, but nobody reads them. Nobody reads them. In fact, how do I know? How am I confident to say this? Jem put out a video recently. There was about Yud Shvat. There was an interview with Yoel Khan, just a short clip. But Rabbi Yoel said, after Yud Shvat, he said, at first, we were just happy to have a mimer. We were just happy to have a mimer. He says, afterwards, we went back and we said, hey, this is heavy stuff. The Rebbe is saying something new here. So I will be so bold as to suggest maybe Rabbi Yoel went back right afterwards and read up the terms and conditions. Maybe the rest of us, we still need a refresher course. We need to brush up on what it is exactly we got ourselves into. So I told you, the terms and conditions, if you want to say it in one sentence, is, guys, we're going to bring Mashiach. But there are two ways to emphasize that sentence. First way is what we were talking about before, the Rebbe's vision. Mashiach, nothing less than Mashiach. Guys, we're going to bring Mashiach. That emphasis. But there's another diuk, there's another way to read it. Guys, we are going to bring Mashiach. In other words, it's got to happen sooner or later. Someone's got to do it. You know who's going to do it? Us. Hold on a second. Ach shadara, itmiya, like the Gemara says. This is such a good generation. We're the ones. Why not the Rishonim Kamalachim? Why not previous generations who are so much greater? But Rebbe says that's neither here nor there. The point is, we were given the job. We came in at a unique time in history. This is when it's happening. And I'm not saying that everyone is so great, or that they earned it, or they worked for this distinction. What I'm saying is, if you're part of this generation, you were born at this time, that's it. You were recruited. You have the job. Let's look what the Rebbe was saying day one. Our role. Look how the Rebbe is describing us. And remember, the Rebbe is talking about us. Although the seventh generation we're talking about before, that Moshe was the seventh generation from Avraham Avinu, and the Rebbe was the seventh leader of Chabad, going back to the Alter Rebbe. So we're drawing that parallel, and that there is a special chvivos, a special preciousness of the seventh. This did not come to us because we chose it. It did not come to us because we worked for it. It was delivered to us already finished. We were born into it. So even though you're going to say, hold on a second, I didn't ask for it. I didn't work for it. It was just dropped in my lap. It doesn't really have a connection to me. Maybe to other people, special people who really embrace the calling, but not me. Says the Rebbe, Mikol Mokem, nevertheless, Ein bezeh hagbola sheneimar, you should not say, sheniflesu, that this is wondrously removed from you, ve'enei shayach el alichide segula, and that it is only pertinent to special elite people, ki'im, but rather, Rather, you should say it's applicable to all of us. Al derech, along the same lines. Shemavur b'tonah dev'Eliyahu, like it says in the Medrash of Tonah dev'Eliyahu. Umuva b'dach, and it's also brought many places in Chassidus. Shekol Yisrael, that every Jew, v'afilu avid, v'afilu shivcha, even a slave, even a servant, Yechelim lahagia l'shtos ruach hakodesh, can come to the level of divine inspiration. Every one of us can come to this level. It was talking about us. Take it seriously. V'chol echad ve'echad miYisrael. Therefore, every individual Jew, chayav leimar, is obligated to say, Mosai, this is still from the Tonah dev'Eliyahu. This is not the Rebbe's words. The Rebbe's quoting here. Classic source. Rabbinical sources over here. Mainstream Judaism. Every single Jew is obligated to say, Mosai yagiu maisai, when will my deeds approach the level, Lemaisei avaisai Avremi Yitzchak v'Yankiv, to the deeds of my patriarchs, Avremi, Yitzchak v'Yankiv. Don't tell me, oh, that was Avram, that was Yitzchak, that was Yankiv, those were the heavy hitters. Look at little old me. Don't say little old me. Don't ever say that. I don't want to hear that again. We are going to bring Mashiach. And you are not going to minimize yourself. You're not going to put yourself down anymore. There was a mimer from a Fabrengen, Gimel de Slichas, Tavshin Chavtes. And to listen to it is, I don't know what to call it. It's stirring. It's frightening. The Rebbe is saying a mimer Ani L'Deidi, days of Slichas, approaching Rosh Hashanah, last days of Tavshin Chavtes, 1969. And the Rebbe is crying that it says, Seicham Leinemar, it doesn't say that the Shekhinah will dwell within them, but B'Seichai, within it, meaning within him, within the individual. Forget. It doesn't say B'Seichai, meaning in it, meaning in the Mishkan, it says B'Seicham, within the Jewish people, all of the Jewish people. Thank you. So it says B'Seicham that the Shekhinah is going to dwell in all of the Jewish people. And the Rebbe is crying, and he's saying that there's a person who's saying, Mi ani umani, who am I and what am I to qualify for this? Yeah, it says that the Shekhinah is going to dwell in every single Jew, but I'm not worthy. The Rebbe describes, the person says, I've tarnished myself with Avedas. And I know who I am. And if you listen to the Rebbe crying, and what's hurting the Rebbe, what's paining the Rebbe, that a Jew should feel that he's unworthy to be a dwelling place for Hashem. The Rebbe's expectations, the Rebbe's view of every single Jew are unreal. After Gimel Tammuz, Rabbi Lau, Yisrael Meir Lau, from the chief rabbi of Israel. So he spoke, I think it might have been a shleishim, but he said, people are asking, who is the successor of the Lubavitcher Rebbe? He says, what do you mean? The Lubavitcher Rebbe left hundreds of successors, thousands of successors, shluchim, all around the world. I say that's good, it's almost there. But I don't even think it does justice. I think it's even more than that. You know, Jonathan Sacks famously said it at the Kinnis HaShluchim, that good leaders make followers and great leaders make leaders. So I'm gonna touch this up, if I can be so bold, but I'll back it up. not good leaders make followers, great leaders make leaders. Let's say it like this. For all of history, a Rebbe made Chassidim, and came the Rebbe of Dor HaShvi and made Rebbes. Took regular Jews and made Rebbes. How can I say this? The Rebbe said, first of all, it's not enough what it says over here in Basi Lagani, Ruach HaKodesh. You're going to be on the level of Ram Yitzchak Yankiv. That's not enough over it. But the Rebbe did. The Rebbe said it. Hishayne Rabba, Tafshin and Beis. The Rebbe was speaking about the fact that in the Hayem Yem, it has the history, the biographies of all the Rebbes, and from the Tzemach Tzedek, he had 7 sons. And the successor was the 7th, the youngest one, was the Rebbe Marash. So he was officially the Admur, the Rebbe. But the Frierdiker Rebbe had them write the title before each of the sons, all of them. The title Admur, Adinenu Mereinu V'Rabbeinu. And the Rebbe says, from this, what can we conclude? I mean, only the Rebbe can make this conclusion. From this, what can we conclude? That the Frierdiker Rebbe wrote the title Admur on all of the sons of the Tzemach Tzedek. From this, we can conclude that every single Jew in our day and age has the hisrachvos, the hispashtus, the spreading out, the dominance, the boldness, from the titul Admur. You need the title Admur? You need to be called Rebbe? If that's what you need to do your job, you got it. You got it. And who's signing on? Who's endorsing? Who's your co-signer? The Lubavitcher Rebbe. He's saying, go for it. You're a Rebbe. Beis Ir in the Rebbe's house after Yud Shvat. So the Rebbe was speaking. Beis Ir is the birthday of the Rebbe Marash. So the Rebbe was speaking about Lechatchila Rebbe. That was the Rebbe Marash is saying, to go over in the first place. Just be bold. So the Rebbe says, what does Lechatchila Rebbe mean? It means that as jeder Yid kann sich führen in Eifen von Lechatchila Rebbe, das heißt, wie a Nasi. Every Jew can conduct himself in a way of jumping over barriers in the first place. What does that mean? Like a Nasi. This is the way the Rebbe is talking about us. Nothing less. One of my favorite stories about a Yechidus, Ephraim Hager, Olav Shalom. He went into the Rebbe. He was 21 years old, a college student. He goes into the Rebbe, and the Rebbe asked him, based on his name, he says, are you related to if you know Hasidic mishpachology, so Hager is a Rebbe's name. It's a dynastic name. Vishnitz is Hager, and others. So he asked him if he's related to that family. He says, indeed he is. And in fact, he happened to be carrying on him in his wallet a photograph of his grandfather who had been a Rebbe, a Hasidic Rebbe. So the Rebbe said, can I see the photo? He said, yeah. So he gave him the photo. The Rebbe took the photo. Imagine this. Imagine yourself sitting in Ephraim Hager's place. The Rebbe is looking at you, and then he's looking at the picture of your grandfather who was a Rebbe, and he's comparing them side by side. Now, to up the ante, the Rebbe asked him the grandfather's name. The Rebbe wrote the name on the back of the paper and put the photo away in his desk. But to up the ante, then the Rebbe says to him, "Was is a Rebbe? What's a Rebbe?" He says he froze. He couldn't answer. So the Rebbe asked him a second time, "Was is a Rebbe? What's a Rebbe?" He couldn't answer. Asked him a third time, "Was is a Rebbe? What's a Rebbe?" No answer. So after 3 times of asking, the Rebbe told him like this. He said, "Der erste Rebbe ist gewesen der Baal Shem Tov." The first Hasidic Rebbe was the Baal Shem Tov. Und als was hat gehabt in Stub, hat weggegeben, verlegen sich schlafen. Everything he had in his house, he would give away on a daily basis before going to sleep. Das ist a Rebbe. And then the Rebbe said to him, maybe you want to become a Rebbe? Now what does that mean? Maybe you want to become a Rebbe. Ephraim Hager became the chairman of the London Diamond Bourse. The Rebbe said, become a Rebbe. So did he do what the Rebbe told him to or not? Well, it depends how you define Rebbe. If you think the Rebbe meant he should go buy a shtreimel, he should maybe rent a shtiebel somewhere in Brooklyn, and hire a masharis, a gabba to follow him around. So he didn't do it. He didn't become a Rebbe. But if you define Rebbe the way the Rebbe defined it, I'll go with the Lubavitcher Rebbe's definition of Rebbe, by the way. The Rebbe said, whatever you have in your Jewish home, you are giving it away on a daily basis. Like the Rebbe said, if you know Aleph, teach Aleph. If you know Aleph Beis, teach Aleph Beis. If you don't know Aleph Beis, if you don't only know Aleph, then only teach Aleph. Don't teach what you don't have, what you don't know. Don't give what you haven't got. But whatever you do have, give it away. And in fact, not only that, not just whatever Yiddishkeit you have in your Jewish home, you should be actively giving away, but it's more than that even. The secret of being a Rebbe, which the Rebbe taught us, is that ultimately, the only Yiddishkeit that we actually have is whatever Yiddishkeit we are actively giving away. So maybe you want to become a Rebbe. The Rebbe already said that you have the title Admur. It's not a joke. The Rebbe gave you a precious title. He wants you to use it. So in this generation, why not step up? Step up. And by the way, the Rebbe didn't say that this is specifically to Lubavitchers. Didn't say this only applies to Crown Heights. I'm speaking right now to Williamsburg, to Lakewood. I'm speaking to all the Jewish community. I'm speaking to the guy in the trailer in Nebraska who just found out he was Jewish a month ago. The Rebbe said, in our generation, you have been given the highest title. Go use it. You can accomplish anything. Ruach HaKodesh is not beyond you. You can come to the level of Isai, of Rom Yitzchak V'Yankiv. Do it. And it's not about you. So don't go and say, Mi ani umani, what am I? The Rebbe says that's the Yetzer Hara. Comes again, the Klugenker, the clever one, the Yetzer Hara comes. He says, who are you? Where are you from? You think you're special? That's the most evil statement. The most destructive statement. In the mimer from Bossi Lagani that corresponds to this year, I should just explain. The Bossi Lagani was a hemshech, that means a series of Maimorim, 20 chapters in all. And the Rebbe would explain each year another one of those chapters over the course of 20 years. So this year, Tafshin Pei corresponds to the Maimorim that the Rebbe said to explain Bossi Lagani in Tafshin Chof and in Tafshin Mem. So in the Maimer of Tafshin Chof, the Rebbe is speaking there, he says a word from the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov said that the Yetzer Hara will draw a person away from Avodas Hashem simply by telling him to be humble. Because when a person undervalues himself, then he doesn't realize the impact that he has. And the Baal Shem Tov concludes and he says that this is just like what it says in the Gemara, Anav Nafsnusay, Shel Rebbe Zechariah, the humility of the Tana Rebbe Zechariah. There's a whole Maisa there in the Gemara in Gittin. It's the Gemara that we learn on Tisha B'Av. That's how I know it. It says, about the Kamsa, Bar Kamsa, right? So Rebbe Zechariah was humble. He didn't want to assert his dominance. He didn't want to assert his authority. So it says from the humility of Rebbe Zechariah, it destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. The Rebbe says from this you can infer the opposite. From the what? That if humility, when it is misplaced, causes a destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, then self-confidence, healthy self-confidence, believing in yourself, will build the Beis HaMikdash. There was a Holocaust survivor who moved to Crown Heights, not a Lubavitcher, and he started a grocery. In fact, the Rebbe helped him to start off in business. He had a son, a teenager. This is back in the Chofs, in the 1960s. And this teenage boy used to run deliveries for his father, the grocer. And one of the houses on his delivery route was the Rebbetzin Chana. He used to deliver groceries to Rebbetzin Chana, the Rebbe's mother, on President Street. So one time this boy, Stillerman, Menachem Stillerman, so he came to the Rebbetzin Chana, and she asked him a question. She said, is there anything that you would like to know from the Rebbe? He hadn't thought of that, but now she's offering. So he says, what's the Rebbe's favorite prayer? Now, later on, when he told the story, he said, I think the reason I said that is because I was about to go off to college. He wasn't from a Hasidic family, more of a modern family, right? Holocaust survivor parents. They wanted him to have, stability. So he said I was about to go off to college. And I guess I wanted to know, like, if there's one prayer that I should really hold on to, which one it should be. And if whatever's the Rebbe's favorite prayer is probably an important one, and I can, give that special attention. So she says, I don't know what the Rebbe's favorite prayer is, but I will ask the Rebbe. The Rebbe would visit his mother every single day. And I'll tell you next time. So next time the boy came to deliver groceries, Rebbe Tzachana says, I asked the Rebbe, I found out his favorite prayer. His favorite prayer is Meida Ani. You know what Meida Ani is? When you learn Kuntras and Yoni Shalteres Hasidis, the Rebbe explains Meida Ani. What's Meida Ani? Meida Ani, you don't have to wash your hands to say. You know why? Because Meida Ani is the pure expression of the essence of a Jew. It can never be tarnished. That's why we can say it before we even wash our hands. And why doesn't it have Hashem's name in it? So the simple reason, because we didn't wash our hands. No, it's the opposite. It doesn't have Hashem's name in it because it's the essence of the Jew that connects to the essence of Hashem, higher than any name. It would be limiting to give it a name. Meida Ani is the prayer that all Jews say equally. Meida Ani is the expression of how every single Jew has within him a Yechidah Shebenefesh, which we should point out. The Rebbe would often quote the Torah of the Chernobyler, the Ma'or Einayim, who said that the Yechidah Shebenefesh within every Jew is the Nitzutz Shel Mashiach of every Jew. So the Rebbe is telling him, Meida Ani is the expression of your ultimate holiness. The real you. The real you. After this encounter, this boy went to a Fabrengen. He didn't often go to Fabrengens, but in this case he did. And he walked into 770. And what was the Rebbe talking about? Meida Ani. And what did the Rebbe say? Right? I hereby give thanks to you, gratitude to you, Hashem, living in eternal kingdom, that you return to me, my soul. Bechemla, graciously, Rabbi Munasecha, you are very trustworthy. Rabbi Munasecha is the word of Muna. Muna means faith. Hashem is faithful. I gave him my most precious asset. I gave him my neshama. He could have run away with it. He gave it back. He's trustworthy. The Rebbe said, there's another taich. Rabbi Munasecha Hashem, you have so much amunah, you have so much faith. What does that mean? Well, when I say that I have amunah, it means I have amunah in Hashem. If Hashem has amunah, Hashem has amunah in me. So here was this kid going off to college, wondering, thinking to himself, what one piece of Judaism should I cling to like anything else and make that my firm rock? And the Rebbe is telling him, hold on to your Meida Ani. Hold on to the fact that Hashem has faith in you. If you know your greatness, you're going to be fine. You're going to be just fine. You're going to be okay. Why? Not because we earned it, not because we chose it, but this was given to us. This is the call of the hour. We didn't volunteer. Nobody asked you. This is our reality. We're going to finish the job. We, the Rashvi, this generation, we are going to do it. We're going to finish it. Nobody else. Why? Don't worry, Hashem believes in you. And the Rebbe made you his partner. Unprecedented. That the Rebbe should, from day one, say, it's us. It's not that the Rebbe has a job and we all watch the Rebbe perform the job. It's us. It's a partnership. We're doing it together. It's a generation. The Shvi is the generation And it doesn't just mean a Yechida Segula, an elite of this generation. It means Kol Echad V'Echad. Or like the Rebbe used to say so many times in the Frierdiker, Kol Echad V'Achas, to emphasize we're also talking about women. In fact, the Rebbe said it applies to children. That every child is a leader. The whole Mivtzah Chinuch, by the way, the Rebbe said, Mivtzah Chinuch, people think it's a campaign to educate children. It isn't. It's a campaign to turn children into educators. And when somebody asked, where did the Rebbe get such a radical idea? Where is he coming up with new ideas? He spoke about it at Avremi G, Yud Shvat, Tafshin Lamed Vav. He said, why is this person who's asking the question showing their ignorance? Doesn't he know the story? That when Torah was in danger of being forgotten, Rabbi Chia recruited children, one to learn each Chumash and one to learn each Seder of Mishnayos. And with this, the whole Torah was rebuilt from children. So this is it. This is our generation. The Rebbe gave us all the tools, all the resources, all the potential, everything. You know, there's an old joke. The rabbi gets up and he says, I have good news and bad news. What do you want to hear first? And the congregation says, tell us the bad news. Sorry, I'm killing the joke. He says, not a good joke teller. He says, they say, tell us the good news. He says, okay, good news is we have the money to complete the building project. Okay, good news. What's the bad news? He says, the bad news is it's still in all of your checking accounts. That's the bad news. Okay. But the good news is that Rebbe gave us everything. The Rebbe gave us the tools. The Rebbe gave us the resources. Everything. Now we just have to go to the checking account. We have to make a withdrawal. We have to use it. We have to put it to use. We are very fortunate. It wasn't our bechira, it wasn't our avoda, we didn't earn it. It was given to us, Frierdiker, delivered to us, complete. Ashreinu, we are fortunate. Matev chelkeinu, how good is our lot. Manoyim, geroleinu, and how pleasant our destiny for which we were chosen. This is a four-part presentation, right? So we have our Rebbe, we have our generation. What's the next topic? Our connection. In other words, you ever seen, like they call them trust fund babies? people who are children of really rich parents. So we are spiritual trust fund babies. We were born, each one of us, with spiritual riches beyond our comprehension. So how do we make sure that we actually participate? Our active role, our connection, the way that we draw in, that we make a withdrawal from our bank account, is through limud Torah, by learning the Rebbe's teachings. Our time, our effort, our concentration, focusing on learning the Rebbe's worldview. The Rebbe spoke about the fact that learning Torah has a special advantage, that it's the deepest type of connection there could be. Hiskashrus means the connection of two things that are linked. Higher than that is dveikus. Dveikus is two things that are stuck together. Hisachdus is when it becomes one thing. There are no longer two things, it becomes one thing. The Rebbe said, through learning the Rebbe's Torah, we don't just have hiskashrus or dveikus, we have hisachdus, we become actually one with the Rebbe. That the Rebbe's way of looking at reality becomes our way of looking at reality. We reprogram our mind. We change the way we experience life. If you didn't see it from the Rebbe, maybe you wouldn't believe it. But let's look here in the study guide under the title, Making It Our Own. Baal HaHilula, the one whose yahrzeit it is, meaning the Frierdiker Rebbe. Mevor bekame Maimorim v'sichaisav, he explained in many of his Maimorim and Sichas, Asher melamed u'mechanech u'meira derech amiti, that a real educator, a true educator, who shapoil is the one who accomplishes, shechushei hatalmid naisim kechushei horav, that the senses of the student become like the senses of the teacher. So it's not just that the student can repeat what he heard from the teacher, it's that the student can start to see and feel and perceive like the teacher. Val'achas kama v'kama, shemaisav v'anhagoisav shel hatalmid. How much more so the actions, the conduct of the student. Heim kemaisav v'anhagoisav shel harav are like the conduct of the teacher. Al derech zeh b'negeya l'bali Hilula atzmei. Now let's speak, the Rebbe says, about the Frierdiker Rebbe specifically. That over all these years that he spent in this world, spreading out Chassidus, the well springs of Chassidus, meaning teaching people not what to think, teaching them how to think, giving them a worldview. And now that he has passed on, it's actually even more intense. It's even more than in his physical lifetime. He has generously given. He's given to every one of his students, anyone who learns his teachings, as the power that they need to go in the right path. That he showed us from his ways, and we will go in his ways until we approach the level where the senses of the student become the senses of the teacher. That which the teacher is able to perceive, the student will be able to perceive. Again, if you wouldn't see it, maybe you wouldn't believe it. Hiskashrus to limud haTorah, learning the Rebbe's teachings, isn't just to be able to quote what the Rebbe says. It's to be able to think like a student of the Rebbe. There's a story I heard from the Rosh Hashiva in Miami, Rabbi Shapiro, when he was a bacher. He and some friends were sent to Boston for Yud Tes Kislev. And they had, at that time, Rav Yosef Ber Soloveitchik was living in Boston. So he was the guest speaker. And he spoke for 2 hours. And then after he spoke, yeah, see, by the way, I'm not speaking that long. Could have been Yosef Ber Soloveitchik, Yud Tes Kislev. After he spoke, there was a Fabrengen. And at the Fabrengen, the Bachram discussed, they spoke in learning with Rabbi Soloveitchik. And they wrote up a duch, they wrote up a report, and they sent it to the Rebbe. And the Rebbe wrote back and wrote notes on the report. And one of the notes that Rebbe wrote, Bevadai, certainly, Shoklu Vatoryu Binyonim Shalahem. Certainly they discussed, they did back and forth about their own ideas. V'loirak masha meduber b'hisvadas, not just what was spoken at the Fabrengens, meaning at the Rebbe's Fabrengens. Bachram are writing to the Rebbe that they're sitting with one of the Gdei Yisrael, and the Rebbe is saying, and by the way, I hope that you shared with him some of your own thoughts. This is what the Rebbe was demanding. Every Rosh Hashiva, if the Rebbe had taught the klal, the certain principle, there's certain klolei Rashi. If the Rebbe had taught that principle before, the Rebbe would actually, it's not in the Likutei Sichos because these parts are edited out, but the Rebbe would comment and say, by the way, I taught this principle at a previous Fabrengen. I'm wondering, where are the ha'aris? Where are the scholarly articles written by the students based on what it's not just the Rashis that the Rebbe is teaching. Learn the Rashis that I didn't teach. The Rebbe was always demanding that we should understand. We should understand with our own mind. I mentioned before Mivtzah Chinuch. Part of Mivtzah Chinuch was the Yud Beis Psukim. If you go look back how the Rebbe described Yud Beis Psukim from the beginning, I think it will surprise you how the Rebbe actually envisioned it. The Rebbe is describing Yud Beis Psukim and saying that these were, by the way, why were they chosen? Are they the most important ideas in Judaism? Do we have any idea why those 12? Okay, so the Rebbe says in the original Fabrengen, they were chosen because they're ideas that children can relate to and understand and teach to other children. They were chosen on that basis. And that the whole point of the 12 Psukim is that children should have an idea that is so thoroughly integrated within them that they go around talking about it while they're playing. And the Rebbe describes children playing and teaching each other the ideas that they're learning. It's way beyond just repeating words by rote. Not to minimize it. There's something holy about a midas hapsukim bal peh, and the Rebbe himself would partake in that. But I'm saying, when the Rebbe laid it out there, the idea was, I'm not telling you what to think. I'm teaching you how to think. I'm training you how to see reality from a perspective. In Toshin Nun, 40 years from the Frierdiker Rebbe's Histalkus, the Rebbe was speaking about the Maimar Chazal, like koi inish adaiti de Rabbi adar boim shnin, that a person, to translate it loosely, doesn't understand his Rebbe's teachings until 40 years. But the Rebbe was medayik. Koi really means to stand up. To stand up means to become self-sufficient. The Rebbe gave you a tzugang, an approach, a derech halimud, a way of looking at learning, and a way of looking at life. Stand up. Innovate. Think critically. Think creatively. You know how frustrating it is when you hear somebody who went through a yeshiva education and claims to not have learned critically, to not be able to think creatively. The Rebbe was demanding. The sichos are supposed to train you how to think. By the way, I should mention that the My Life Chassidus Applied contest is a wonderful opportunity for people not just to learn, but to apply what they're learning to show that they know how to think. I think the contest is coming up. I want to encourage people to be involved in that. But this is what the Rebbe, stand up. And not just, and there was another diuk. Daite the Rabbi, and not de Esav. De Esav means the rabbi's opinions. So it's one thing to be able to quote what the rabbi said. This is the rabbi's opinion about this. This is the rabbi's opinion about that. What about the things the rabbi didn't tell you his opinion? Then are you lost? Are you in the dark? Daite means the mind. So it means to actually have the mind of the rabbi, to be able to think like the rabbi. Now, who am I? I'm getting up here, I'm saying such crazy things. Chassidim don't think, we follow orders. Okay, but the Lubavitcher Rebbe is saying his Chassidim think and know how to think because he taught them how to think. And not only taught them how to think, he taught them how to think like him. That Hushei Harav become Hushei HaTalmud. And it's available to us. The treasure house is open. You can just walk in and pick a sicha, any sicha. You mentioned also a project with Likutei Sichas, an opportunity to go through the entire Likutei Sichas in 8 years, which people are doing together as a certain koyach of doing it collectively. The point is that the Rebbe gave us the opportunity to see life from his perspective. My favorite story is one of the early shluchim. Nachman Tzedek went out on shlichus. He didn't even know what shlichus was. He just knew the Rebbe wanted it. And every so often he would come to the Rebbe to talk about shlichus, and the Rebbe would basically say, not yet. And Charakov would tell him, go learn. He would learn some more. It was in 770, learning. He would meet with the Rebbe again. The Rebbe would check him out. Not ready yet. Go learn. Finally came a day, he was ready. Okay, you're going. The big day. Now he's going to London. Now Rabbi Tzedek asks the Rebbe, he says, by the way, just the detail, but when I get to London, what do I do there? That's funny to us because, nowadays a young shliach goes out on shlichus, and before he even arrives to his makom shlichus, he already has the flyer for his first porn party. Probably even has the decorations in storage somewhere before he even arrives, right? We know exactly what you do on shlichus. But this was in the 50s. So he says, when I get there, what am I supposed to do? So the Rebbe told him something very interesting. The Rebbe told him, there are thousands of things to do. You see, the Rebbe could have limited it. The Rebbe could have given him a list. The Rebbe didn't do that. The Rebbe says, there are thousands of things to do. You'll go there, you'll keep your eyes open, and you'll see thousands of things to do. What does that mean? B'pashtus, what it means is, every time the Rebbe was checking out, are you ready? No, go learn. Are you ready? No, go learn. And eventually he learned enough. What does it mean he learned enough? He made the approach his approach. Now he was ready to go do it. Now he's saying, now how do I do it? The Rebbe's saying, but you know already. I'm not going to rob you of that by giving you a list. I gave you eyes. Now go out there and open your eyes. And by the way, this idea is the same thing that Rebbe was saying in the later years about Mashiach. When the Rebbe was saying, you want Mashiach? You have to open your eyes. What does it mean? Open your eyes. What the Rebbe said was, open your eyes. Learn how to think. Learn how to experience reality. Don't look at reality the way that your default settings, factory-installed settings tell you to look at reality. Look at reality the way that the Rebbe trained our brains to see reality. Go out into the world and see potential, see greatness, see opportunity. Look at the world and see the world as a gan. It's Hashem's garden, a place of pleasure. But all of that is about training yourself how to think, training yourself to have Hushei Harav. And it's all available to us. All of the deepest secrets, all of the mysteries of the Torah, they're all there. This is the connection to Limud Torah, to know the unknown, to know the secrets, to know Kol Raz Seidecha, the mysteries, the secrets of the Torah are no longer mysteries and secrets for us. My name is Miras. Okay, we're getting to the end of our story. How does our story end? You know, there was a time when, before the communist revolution in Russia, they used to send out indoctrinators, people who were versed in communist theory, and they would go around and teach the masses communism. So one time, one of these indoctrinators, he came to a little village, and he was teaching the farmers there about communism. And he wanted to make sure they understood. So he asked this little farmer, this peasant, he said to him, "Comrade, I want to make sure you understand how communism works." He says, "If you have 2 cows, what do you do?" He says, "If I have 2 cows," the little farmer says, I keep 1 cow and I give 1 cow to the party." So the indoctrinator says, "Yes, that's correct. Very good. Comrade, if you have 2 goats, what do you do?" He says, if I have 2 goats, I keep 1 goat and I give the other goat to the party." And the indoctrinator says, "Yes, that's correct. Very good. If you have 2 chickens, what do you do?" And the guy pauses. And the indoctrinator says, "Comrade, 2 chickens, what do you do?" And he pauses. And the indoctrinator is getting frustrated. He's getting flustered. He says, "Hold on a second." He says, "Comrade, you came to 2 cows. You know, cow is a big deal. You're ready to give a cow away. Came to 2 goats. You're ready to give a goat away. Now 2 little chickens and you're hesitating? Why with 2 chickens are you hesitating?" He says, "Yeah, you know the difference? I actually have 2 chickens." Look what the Rambam says. And the Rebbe quoted this Rambam hundreds, maybe thousands of times. From Hilchas Tshuva. Lefichach, therefore, tzorech kol odem, sheyira atzmei, kol hashana kulei, all year round, every day, you should see yourself. Ki'ilu chetzei zakeh v'chetzei chayev, as if you're half, exactly 50% in deficit, morally speaking, and 50% with merit. V'chein kol ha'olam, and not just you, but the entire world, the universe, chetzei zakeh v'chetzei chayev, half meritorious and half liable. I'm going to skip that sentence. I think the Rebbe would want that. Next sentence. Asa mitzvah achas if he does one mitzvah, doesn't say a big mitzvah, a small mitzvah, doesn't say which mitzvah, mitzvah achas, does a mitzvah, any mitzvah, hare, what happens? He chriya es atzmei, he tips the scales for himself, vas kol ha'olam kulei, and for the entire world, l'chaf schus, to the side of merit, v'godam loy v'lahem, and he causes for himself and the world tshuva v'hatzalah, salvation and rescue. Getting down to brass tacks, getting it done. We're going to bring Mashiach. We are going to bring Mashiach. Both ways. How are we going to bring Mashiach? So first of all, know one thing. There are no big mitzvahs and there are no small mitzvahs. It could be any good act or speech or even thought that tips the scales once and for all. You know, the Rebbe once asked, why is there an expression Chazal often use, tshuva u'maisim tevim, repentance and good deeds? He says it's a funny order because maisim tevim, good deeds, that's plan A. That's what you're supposed to do. And tshuva is only plan B. That's the backup plan if you didn't do the good deeds, so then you have the tshuva to, fix it. And yet we say it the opposite. We say tshuva first, and then maisim tevim. Good question, right? So the Rebbe says like this. You should know, after you do tshuva, after you become a new person, right? Tshuva really means, it's not just, I wouldn't do that stuff again. No, I'm not the guy who used to do that. I'm a new person. After you do tshuva, after you become a new person, what's life going to be like? Maisim tevim. Hold on, I did maisim tevim before. Yeah, but that was the old you. Now it's the new you. So, there are things that we've done thousands of times. We've done every day of our lives. And you want to know something? One of those things that you've already done 1,000 times, the next time you do it, it could be the thing to bring Mashiach. And we have to see it that way. We have to become new. We have to have a new perspective. We have to open our eyes. We have to have new eyes. We have to have a new perspective on life. The Rebbe's perspective on life. That the next mitzvah can be the one to change everything. So what's going to bring Mashiach? I don't know. Saying Alamicha from a Siddur. I don't know. Putting down your phone. Bosser Lagani talks about iskafia. A little self-discipline. What's going to bring Mashiach? It could be focus on your child. No, the Rebbe said that each one of us has this greatness, the level of Vaisai, of Ram Yitzchak Yankiv. That's not just you, that's your children. Imagine if you realize you are raising a Rebbe. Rebbe Tznechanesh used to wash the Rebbe's hands before he would nurse. That's what it is to raise a Rebbe. Imagine if for one moment we would treat our children at home the way the Rebbe sees our children. How many things would be different? That's a small thing you can do at home. And it takes 30 seconds to give complete focus to a child. It's a small thing. And no one's going to know you did it. You're not going to get any credit, no plaque. But that's something that certainly can have a huge effect. So what I'm saying is, a lot of the stuff that we need to do is old stuff. It's familiar stuff. But we have to do it in a way that's brand new. We have to do it as Rebbes. Ever see how the Rebbe says, "O bracha achreina" from a Siddur? The Rebbe was a busy man. He had many things to do. I would forgive him if he didn't look inside a Siddur. But for a tzaddik, a Rebbe, there's no difference between a big mitzvah and a little mitzvah. All that counts is whatever mitzvah I'm doing right now, and that mitzvah is the whole world, and that mitzvah can change the whole world. Be a Rebbe. You hear a story I told you about the Rebbe getting off the subway at Nostrand and talking to a little public school girl. Okay, so you're working in an office? I don't know. Go visit some kids. No, visit some neighborhood kids. Go bring your tefillin to work. A Rebbe is like the Rebbe said. Everything you have in your Jewish home, you're giving it away on a daily basis. You have a neighbor who doesn't have something Jewishly that you have, share it with them. Make a Shabbos party in your house for your kids' class. There are small, everyday things that can have massive, massive, massive ripple effects and can finish the whole job for all of us. Of course, there are big things too. Depends how ambitious you are. The Rebbe said, every Jew now has the Hisrachvas and the Hispashtas from the Titul Admur. So everybody has, if you need the credentials, the bona fides, the Rebbe gave it to you. Who are you to do it? The Rebbe told me I can act like a Rebbe. Go do something big. Be ambitious. But do it like the Rebbe said. Do it with passion and vigor and excitement. It has to be in an organized manner. It has to be sensible. To bring Mashiach doesn't mean to act in a ridiculous way, in an unorganized way, in a sporadic way. It can be focused. It can be driven. Because we have a goal. We had a goal since day one. Now just see that goal in everything that you do. And see yourself as the one responsible to do it. During World War II, at the end of World War II, after FDR died, so Truman took over, and there was a lot of pressure. He had to make a lot of decisions. And he used to have a sign on his desk that said, "The buck stops here." It became a well-known expression, but he was the one who made it up. What does it mean? Passing the buck. Passing the buck means you defer responsibility to the next guy. So Truman had a sign on his desk, "The buck stops here." I'm sorry to break it to you, but you clicked yes on the terms and conditions. This is 70-year-old news. It's not a bombshell. You and you and you and you are the leader of world Jewry. Each one of you is responsible for every single Jew and for the entire world and for the universe. And for the purpose for which all worlds were created. The Rebbe pointed out, when Mashiach is going to come, it's not just going to be in Elam Hazeh Agashmi, in this physical world. Mashiach will be for Ganz Seder Ishtalshlis. So in Elam Esel Yenim, they're waiting for Mashiach. And on whom are they waiting? You and you and you and you. There's a video after Chof Ches Nissen. Let's actually look at the text. The last text. Chof Ches Nissen Tavshin and Alf. Hadavar Yachidi Shechelni La'asais. The only thing I can do, says the Rebbe, Limsara Inyan Aleichem, is to turn it over to you. Asu Kol Asher Yecholtchem. Do everything in your ability. In Yonim Shehem Ba'efin Da'eris, to tell you things that have massive, wild energy. Aval, however, Bekelim Detikun, in an organized fashion. Lahavi Bepoil as Mashiach. Mashiach Tzidkenu, take of Miyad Mamish, in order to bring Mashiach immediately, literally. After the Rebbe said this Sikha, a woman came to the Rebbe, it's on video, and she had lost her child. You know, there are many reasons why we want Mashiach, but somebody who's in mourning, somebody who is Le'olenu, wants to be reunited with a child, that's pretty high up there with the reasons why somebody would want Mashiach. She came to the Rebbe and she said, "Rebbe, after all these years, now you're going to leave us hanging?" She started to cry. She said, "Rebbe, you are our Rebbe, you're our father." The Rebbe, the same Rebbe who used to stay up nights while he was worrying about the entire world and also checking in to make sure that a pregnant woman in the hospital had a safe delivery. A father like that who cared for individuals and that a yid should have parnasa and that couples should have shalom bayis. I'm not saying on the grand scale. I'm saying a father who actually cared for every single individual. And one of your children turns to you and says, Rebbe, you're our father. And the Rebbe said, if I am a Rebbe, then I have spoken clearly that it must be done by everyone, by all Klal Yisrael, including this person and this person and this person. The woman said, Rebbe, we're relying upon you. The Rebbe said, if I have spoken as a rabbi, then you have heard my answer clearly. The Rebbe says in English, that it must be done by you and by you and by you. And the Rebbe is pointing to the people in the room. But this was from day one. From day one, the Rebbe said, we're going to bring Mashiach. We are going to bring Mashiach. All of us, Derech Shviyah, a whole generation, without any exceptions. Every one of us. And it must be done. The Rebbe says that's the only way for it to be done. Every one of us has to step up and see yourself the way the Lubavitcher Rebbe sees you. See yourself as leader of world Jewry. And that everything depends on you. It's all dependent upon us. The world is waiting. History is waiting. One mitzvah, a small one or a big one, transform a community. I don't know. You want to be like Benchemon and make events? Make events. Go ahead. And by the way, I'm privy to some backroom information. It's not just the mega events. It's going to be regular, steady, real learning, or like Benchemon says, no Kool-Aid, real learning. Chassidus, the Rebbe's perspective on life. Yeah. And he doesn't have a monopoly on it. Step up. You're an Admur. You're a Rebbe. The Rebbe trained us for this. And he told us from day one. Let's look at the last text. It's actually the second to last. But we're going back to it. From Yud Shvat, Tafshin Yud Aleph, first official Maimer. V'hinei zet toivim. Mikol echad ve'echad mi'itono derech shvi. This is what is demanded from each and every one of us, the members of the seventh generation. The chol lashvin kavivin. All sevenths are precious. Again, not by dint of anything we did, but because that is where we have appeared in the timeline of history. Even though we didn't choose it, we didn't work for it. And in many ways, maybe we don't even want it. Nevertheless, the truth stands. All the sevenths are precious. We are now in the final stages before the redemption, what's called the footsteps of Mashiach. And in the end stages of the end stages. And now the task is to complete the drawing down of the Shechina. And not just the Shechina, the main Shechina, meaning the highest possible revelation of godliness, specifically in this world. So it's time. It's time for us to open our eyes, to see the truth about this world, to see the truth about ourselves, to see Hashem revealed in this world, to see the vision, that the Rebbe saw from day one. And Hashem should help very soon, again, to see the Rebbe.
Also pflegen morgen nach Sieden sollen allein tun. Nicht verlassen sich auf den Reben. Allachas kamen wir 20 Menschen wegen Rebes Aledim, das nicht liegt sich in Fegelig im Busim und in Mente liegt auf mir Aribe, seid ihr alle frei und könnt sich tun, was ihr wollt. Ich meine nicht, was ihr wollt, Chas V'Sholem Dwarim, was ihnen Motorim. Da dann sich machen a good time mit a ruhigen Leben und die sich ist, ich lieb meine, was sie sein, sich in Horven, hat sich auf den Alinionen und jeder Tag wegen Tages Gachne, wie Tages Tinossi und sich tun, was ihr wollt, dass sie sich ein kleines Fegelig im Busim kennen nennt von nach und darauf, die alle Schlichten, was der Rebbe Tag gegeben und keine Tag nicht versporen, keine Arbeit, wir können arbeiten mittags zusammen, dann kommen auch mit etwas helfen, was die Kinder nicht alle, nicht nachhelfen, aber dass die Schlichten, was der Rebbe gegeben, jeder von uns, dafür in Peelmamisch, alle mit Kaim sein, mit seiner Amachivrim, mit seiner Shasagidim von Guf und mit seiner Amachirim, Shasagidim von den Schomen. Und sie doch nicht da, Fämme zu verlassen, warum das Ayini, was Akku wie die Shamayim, Chutz mit ihre Shamayim, darf ein Poshet allein horven und allein tun. Und dort nicht helfen, was sie mit Gern Ksovim und mit Reden und mit Singen und mit Sagen Lechaim, das kann keine Unione mit Mischane sein. Das darf Tier allein hapig sein, dem Stuss de Leyumase und dem Koch von Nefesh Abami, so machen der Fuß Stuss die Gusche.
Jeder soll wissen, dass es sein, ihnen abroti, auf mit keinem sein, also die Aloch in Lamba, der Mädel hat mich kein Brille nicht, muss man halten in den Dschungeln in dem. Aber man soll wissen sein, wegen Keitzim, und man soll wissen sein, wegen Jemisa Moschiach, und man soll wissen sein, da alle Prozent, was und man soll wissen sein, der Rike, was nicht, da jene, was steht, mehr nicht ins Vorring. Das meint man und das meint man nie, und das meint man Anoschen, Venoschen, Betag, Bejenechon, alle zusammen, Kol, Godel. Mir wird eins gesagt, was ich kann nicht tun, es gibt das immer jeden von euch und tut alles, was ihr kennt und setzt ein Roblink in Maschinen, denke von Yad Mamos in der Beten, die Indionen, Klacke von Elis, die Teo, aber den Kehlen, die Tichun. Es ist einer da, was Tolo ja lebonnen. Und das, was sich jeder von uns, das, was wir sagen, alle Kol Hashvin, haben wir sich alle die Chrivis, Ibn Here, Biamine Bagole, die Dan, und Lamata Masoret Fochen, so mir alle sich gesagt. Sag sehr mit mir Reben. Und wir sollen Zaris nehmen von Kolosarov Nivadashmi und bringen uns zu der Gila Schleime, Bimhere, Biamine.
Ra